Lisa Morgan loved working with plants. At 16 years old, she was already smarter than most adults when it came to studying alien life. The research station called Harmony 7 was her home now, floating in space around a distant planet. She had been there for 6 months, learning from the best scientists in the galaxy. The station was beautiful inside. Long white halls connected different labs and living areas. Through the big windows, Lisa could see the blue and green planet below. Sometimes she would stand there for hours, watching clouds move across the surface. It made her think about Earth, her real home so far away. Dr. Robert Kane was Lisa's teacher. He was a kind man with gray hair and gentle eyes. He taught her how to study alien plants without hurting them. Lisa learned fast. She could speak with some of the alien workers on the station. They liked her because she was always friendly and never acted like humans were better than other races. The station had people from many different worlds. There were the tall, blue-skinned Andromedans who sang while they worked. The small, furry Kepler creatures made everyone laugh with their funny jokes. Even the serious crystal beings from HFY seemed to smile when Lisa was around. Everything changed when the ships arrived. Lisa was in Lab 7, looking at purple flowers from a moon called Titan 5 when the alarms started. Red lights flashed everywhere. A voice spoke over the speakers in the trade language that everyone understood. All station workers report to Main Plaza. Council representatives require immediate assembly. Lisa looked up from her work. Dr. Kane had worry lines on his face. "Lisa, stay close to me," he said. "Council visits are usually just routine, but something feels wrong about this one." They walked through the halls with hundreds of other beings. Lisa saw fear in many eyes. The Andromedans had stopped singing. The Kepler creatures were hiding behind larger people. Even the crystal beings seemed dimmer than usual. The main plaza was a huge round room in the center of the station. A stage stood at one end where important announcements were made. Lisa and Dr. Kane found spots near the back of the crowd. 3 large ships could be seen through the plaza's glass dome. They were dark gray and covered with weapons. Lisa had never seen ships like these before. They looked mean and dangerous. Heavy footsteps echoed through the room. A group of tall, lizard-like beings walked onto the stage. Their scales were dark green and their eyes were yellow. Lisa knew these were Vorthons. She had read about them but never seen one in person. They were much scarier than the pictures showed. The largest Vorthon stepped forward. His voice was deep and rough, like grinding stone. "I am Ambassador Zeth Kalar of the Vorthon Dominion. We represent the Galactic Council's Enforcement Division." Lisa felt Dr. Kane's hand on her shoulder, pulling her slightly behind him. "This station has been chosen for a special inspection," Zeth Kalar continued. "Recent reports suggest dangerous activities may be taking place here. All residents will cooperate fully with our investigation." The crowd was silent. Lisa could hear her own heart beating. For the next 2 hours, the Vorthons moved through the station. They searched labs and living areas. They questioned workers and looked at research files. Lisa and Dr. Kane were told to wait in their lab while the inspection continued. "What are they really looking for?" Lisa asked in a whisper. Dr. Kane shook his head. "I don't know, but stay quiet and let me do the talking if they come here." Near the end of the day, Lisa needed to use the bathroom. Dr. Kane said it was okay, but she should hurry back. As she walked down a side hall, she heard voices coming from a small meeting room. The door was slightly open. Lisa knew she should keep walking, but something made her stop and listen. "The human population is growing too fast," one voice said. It was Zeth Kalar. "They spread to new worlds every year. Soon they will be stronger than us. Project Cleansing will solve this problem," another Vorthon replied. "We reduce their numbers slowly. Make it look natural. Disease, accidents, equipment failures." "How many humans live in this sector?" Zeth Kalar asked. "About 2 million across 15 worlds. We can reduce that to maybe 50,000 over 5 years. The survivors will be grateful just to be alive." Lisa felt cold all over. They were talking about killing her people. Millions of them. "What about the other species?" the second Vorthon asked. The weak ones will serve us better when humans are gone. Humans make them think they can be equal to us. Once humans learn their place, the others will too. Lisa backed away from the door. She had to tell Dr. Kane right away, but as she turned, she bumped into a small table. A plant pot fell to the floor and broke with a loud crash. The voices stopped. Heavy footsteps came toward the door. Zeth Kalar appeared in the doorway. His yellow eyes stared down at Lisa. She tried to run, but another Vorthan blocked her path. "What, did you hear, little human?" Zeth Kalar asked. His voice was quiet now, which somehow made it more frightening. "Nothing," Lisa said. "I was just going to the bathroom. I didn't hear anything." Zeth Kalar leaned down until his face was close to hers. "I think you are lying. Humans are always lying." He grabbed Lisa's arm and dragged her back toward the main plaza. People stopped what they were doing to watch. Dr. Kane saw them and started running over. "Let her go," he shouted. "She's just a child." "This child," Zeth Kalar said loudly, "has been caught stealing council secrets. Under Decree 847 Gamma, the punishment for espionage is immediate execution." The crowd gasped. Dr. Kane pushed forward. "That's not true. She was just walking to the bathroom." "I saw her listening at our door," Zeth Kalar lied. "She heard classified information about council military operations." Lisa looked around the plaza. Hundreds of beings watched her with fear and sadness. She wanted to tell them what she really heard, but Zeth Kalar's claws dug into her arm. "Please," she said. "I didn't do anything wrong. I just want to go home to Earth." Zeth Kalar smiled, showing sharp teeth. "You should have thought of that before you chose to spy on the council." He pulled out a weapon that glowed with red energy. "Let this be a warning to all who would challenge council authority." Dr. Kane lunged forward, but other Vorthans held him back. "Stop! She's innocent. Take me instead." Lisa looked at her teacher. Then she looked at all the other people watching. "Please remember me," she said quietly. "Someone should remember me." The red energy hit her before she could say anything else. Lisa Morgan, 16 years old, vanished in a flash of light. Where she had been standing, only empty air remained. The plaza was completely silent for a long moment. Then Dr. Kane screamed. It was a sound of pure pain and loss that echoed through the entire station. Zeth Kalar put his weapon away. "Justice has been served. This inspection is complete." As the Vorthons left, everyone on the station knew something terrible had just happened. They had watched an innocent girl die for no reason except cruelty. The memory of her last words would stay with them forever. "Someone should remember me." Miles away on the deep space ship UES Defiance, Commander Jake Phillips received the transmission of Lisa's execution. He watched it 3 times before he could believe what he was seeing. Then he sent a message to Earth that would change everything. The war had just begun, though no one knew it yet. The message reached Earth in 6 hours. Commander Jake Phillips sent it through the fastest communication network in human space. The video of Lisa Morgan's death traveled from star to star until it arrived at the Global Defense Center in Geneva. President Helen Carter was eating dinner with her family when the emergency call came. She kissed her children goodnight and went to her office. When she saw the transmission, she sat down hard in her chair and put her head in her hands. "Get me everyone," she told her assistant. "Defense Council, cabinet members, colonial governors, everyone, now." Within 2 hours, the most powerful people in human space were gathered in the secure meeting room. Some appeared as holograms from distant colonies. Others came in person, their faces grim and tired. General Kevin Shaw spoke first. He was the head of Earth's military forces. "We've confirmed the transmission is real. Lisa Morgan, age 16, from Portland, Oregon. She was part of the youth science program. No military training, no political connections. Just a kid who loved studying plants." Dr. Nathan Cross cleared his throat. He ran the secret research projects that most people didn't know about. "I need to tell you all something. We've been working on technologies that go far beyond what the Council knows about. Projects that could change everything." President Carter looked at him with sharp eyes. "What kind of technologies?" "The ability to change reality itself. Dr. Cross said quietly. We can make things that exist stop existing. We can change what happened in the past. We can rewrite the rules of physics in small areas of space. Senator Marie Lopez leaned forward. She represented the outer colonies where humans lived on distant worlds. How long have you been hiding this from us? 10 years, Dr. Cross admitted. We called it Project Prometheus. We knew if other species found out, they might try to destroy us out of fear. Admiral Shaw pulled up a holographic display showing the galaxy. Red dots marked Council territory. Blue dots showed human worlds. There were many more red dots. The Council has 50,000 warships, he said. 12 different species work for them. They control 847 star systems. We have 200 ships and 23 systems. In a normal war, we would lose in a week. But this won't be a normal war, Dr. Cross added. With our new technology, numbers don't matter anymore. President Carter studied the display. What exactly can this technology do? Dr. Cross touched a control and the display changed. It showed a simulation of a battle. We can make enemy ships forget they exist. We can change the past so their weapons were never built. We can create space where their physics don't work, but ours do. Governor James Park spoke from his colony ship near the edge of human space. Ma'am, we need to talk about what's happening out here. Council inspection teams have been visiting our worlds for months. They ask about our population numbers, our defenses, our food production. What kind of questions? President Carter asked. They want to know how many people live on each world. They check our medical facilities. They study our birth rates. It's like they're planning something big. Dr. Cross nodded grimly. We intercepted some council communications last month. They have a plan called Project Cleansing. They want to reduce human population to what they call manageable levels. How many people is that? Senator Lopez asked. About 100,000 humans in the entire galaxy. The rest would be eliminated through accidents, diseases, and direct action. The room was silent for a long moment. President Carter felt sick thinking about it. Nearly 9 billion humans lived throughout their space. The Council wanted to kill almost all of them. There's something else, Admiral Shaw said. 3 hours ago, every human in our space had the same dream. All at the same time. He activated another display. This one showed reports from across human territory. Billions of people all describing the same vision. They saw Lisa's death. Not just watched it, but felt what she felt. Her fear. Her hope that someone would remember her. Her confusion about why this was happening. 8.7 billion people experienced her final moments. Dr. Cross looked amazed. That's impossible. There's no technology that could cause a shared dream across interstellar distances. Maybe it's not technology, President Carter said, quietly. Maybe it's something else. Reports kept coming in from human worlds. Factory workers were changing their production lines without being told, making things that would be needed for war. Scientists were sharing research freely, breaking down barriers that had existed for years. Millions of people were volunteering for military service. It's like everyone knows what needs to be done, Admiral Shaw observed. They're working together in ways we've never seen before. A new message arrived from Commander Phillips on the UES Defiance. President Carter played it for the whole group. Ma'am, something strange is happening with our crews. People are reporting for duties they weren't assigned. Engineers are modifying our ships in ways that shouldn't work but do. Our weapons are more powerful than they should be. It's like everyone suddenly knows things they didn't know before. Dr. Cross was taking notes quickly. We need to study this phenomenon. If humans are somehow connecting on a level we don't understand, it could change our entire approach to the war. What war? Senator Lopez asked. We haven't declared war on anyone. President Carter stood up and walked to the window. She could see lights across the city, but she knew people weren't sleeping. They were preparing for something none of them fully understood yet. The war started when they killed Lisa, she said. The question is how we're going to fight it. Over the next several days, reports came in from across human space. The shared dream had stopped, but its effects continued. People seemed to know instinctively what needed to be done to prepare for conflict. Dr. Cross presented his findings to the president in a private meeting. We've tested the new technologies on uninhabited systems. The results are beyond what we hoped for. We can literally edit reality, make changes to what exists and what doesn't exist. Is it dangerous to us? President Carter asked. We don't think so. The effect seems to only work when all humans in an area agree it should happen. It requires unity of purpose on a massive scale, like the unity created by Lisa's death. Dr. Cross nodded. Exactly. The shared experience bonded our entire species in a way that's never happened before. We're not just individual humans anymore. We're humanity as a single entity. Admiral Shaw joined them with more disturbing news. Council forces have begun moving toward human space. They're not trying to hide it. Intelligence suggests they plan to attack our outer colonies within 2 weeks. President Carter made her decision. Begin deploying our new weapons, but I want to try diplomacy first. Arrange a meeting with the council. Let them know we're willing to talk. What if they refuse? Admiral Shaw asked. Then we show them what humanity is really capable of. The diplomatic message was sent through official channels. President Carter requested an emergency session of the Galactic Council to discuss the murder of Lisa Morgan and demand justice. The council's response came back quickly. They refused to meet. Instead, they sent a statement saying that Lisa's execution was legal under their laws and that humans should accept council authority without question. Even worse, they broadcast another execution. Dr. Robert Kane, Lisa's teacher, was killed on Harmony 7. They forced other humans on the station to watch, including children. The message was clear. This is what happens to humans who oppose the council. President Carter called one more meeting. This time she didn't ask for opinions or debate. The council has chosen war over justice, she announced. They've made it clear they intend to destroy our people. We will respond with everything we have. She looked at each person in the room. Dr. Cross, begin full deployment of reality modification technology. Admiral Shaw, move our fleets into position. Make sure our people on the frontier know what's coming. What about the other species? Senator Lopez asked. Some of them might not support the council's actions. We'll give them a chance to surrender when the time comes, President Carter said. But anyone who stands with the council will face the same fate as the council itself. She stood up and walked to the communications console. With the touch of a button, she opened a channel to every human world in the galaxy. My fellow humans, she said, we face an enemy that believes we are weak because we value life. They are wrong. We value life so much that we will do anything to protect it. The council has declared war on innocence itself. We will show them the price of that choice. Across human space, 9 billion people heard her words. In response, something awakened in the human soul that had been sleeping since the species first looked up at the stars. It was the same fire that had carried them from caves to cities, from Earth to the galaxy. Now it would carry them to victory no matter the cost. The changes began immediately after President Carter's speech. Across every human world, people started working together in ways no one had ever seen before. Factory workers rebuilt production lines overnight to make new weapons. Scientists shared discoveries they had kept secret for years. Children started learning things their teachers didn't remember teaching them. Dr. Nathan Cross watched it all from his laboratory on Luna Base. The reality modification technology was spreading faster than he had planned. Somehow, humans everywhere seemed to understand how to use it without training. They were changing small things at first, making tools work better, improving computer systems, creating materials that shouldn't exist. It's like the entire species is learning at once, he told his assistant, Dr. Amy Foster. Every breakthrough one person makes, everyone else knows about instantly. On Earth, Admiral Kevin Shaw was coordinating the largest military buildup in human history. But it wasn't like any war preparation he had seen before. Instead of building more ships, humans were making their existing ships impossible to detect or destroy. Captain Ryan Blake reported from the UES Retribution, now hidden in deep space near Council territory. Sir, we've modified our ship using the new technology. We exist in 3 different dimensions at the same time. Council sensors can't find us, and their weapons can't hit us. How many ships can we convert? Admiral Shaw asked. All of them, sir. The technology spreads by itself once one ship in a fleet is modified. It's like the ships want to be improved. Similar reports came from human colonies throughout the galaxy. Commander Lisa Grant on the frontier world of New Texas sent word that their planetary defenses had become nearly indestructible overnight. The colonists had somehow learned to create force fields that absorbed enemy fire and converted it into power for their own weapons. But the most important changes were happening to the humans themselves. The shared experience of Lisa's death had created connections between people that went beyond normal communication. Families separated by light years could sense each other's thoughts. Soldiers knew what their commanders needed before orders were given. President Carter met with her advisors every day to track the changes. The reports were almost unbelievable. Production of war materials has increased by 800%, reported Secretary of Industry Mark Davis. Workers are operating machines that don't exist in any manual, creating alloys that our best scientists can't explain. What about population movements? President Carter asked. Civilians are evacuating from border worlds without being told to leave, said Colonial Administrator Janet Wells. They seem to know which areas will be dangerous and which will be safe. Some are moving to worlds we haven't even officially colonized yet. Dr. Cross had been studying the phenomenon day and night. He presented his findings to the president in a private meeting. "Ma'am, I don't think we're dealing with technology anymore," he said. "The reality modification abilities, the shared knowledge, the coordinated actions, it's all happening on a level that goes beyond science." "What are you saying?" "I think Lisa's death created a change in human consciousness itself. We're not just individual people anymore. We're becoming something new, something that can reshape reality through pure will and unity of purpose." President Carter looked out at the earth below. Cities glowed with activity as millions of people worked to prepare for war. "Is it dangerous?" "I don't know, but I can tell you this, the Council has no idea what's coming. They think they're fighting 8 billion separate humans. They don't understand they're about to face humanity as a single entity." The Council forces were massing at the edge of human space. Intelligence reports showed over 10,000 warships from 6 different species. The Vorthons led the fleet with Ambassador Zeth Kalar commanding from his flagship, the Destroyer of Worlds. Intercepted communications revealed their battle plan. They intended to attack 12 human colonies simultaneously, destroying all military, resistance, and taking survivors as slaves. The operation was scheduled to begin in 72 hours. Admiral Shaw called a meeting of all human military commanders. Most appeared as holograms, but some came in person from nearby systems. The room hummed with energy that hadn't been there before. These weren't just officers anymore. They were parts of a larger organism preparing to defend itself. "The enemy outnumbers us 50 to 1, Admiral Shaw began. "Under normal circumstances, we would have no chance, but these aren't normal circumstances." He activated a display showing human fleet positions. Instead of clustering defensively around their worlds, the ships were scattered throughout space in seemingly random patterns. "Our ships are already in position around every Council fleet," reported Captain Blake. "They can't see us, but we can see them. When we attack, it will be simultaneous across all of their forces." "What about their homeworlds?" asked Commander Grant. "Phase 2. Teams are already in place," Admiral Shaw replied. "Not to attack civilians, but to disable their ability to coordinate military responses. Government buildings, communication centers, military academies, all will be removed from reality at the moment the war begins." Dr. Cross joined the meeting to explain the technical aspects. "We've learned to edit causality itself. We can make their weapons never exist, their orders never be given, their victories never happen. But we need perfect coordination across all human forces." "How do we achieve that?" asked Captain Blake. "The same way we've been achieving everything else lately," Admiral Shaw said. "We think it and it happens. 9 billion humans wanting the same thing at the same time creates a force that can reshape the universe." The final preparations were unlike anything in military history. Instead of moving supplies and positioning troops, humans were learning to exist in multiple realities simultaneously. Soldiers practiced editing enemy weapons out of existence. Pilots learned to fly ships that could phase in and out of normal space. Children on human worlds started having dreams about the coming battle, but instead of nightmares, they were dreams of victory. They saw council ships simply vanishing, enemy commanders forgetting their own plans, entire fleets arriving at battle locations that no longer existed. President Carter made one last attempt at diplomacy. She sent a message directly to Zeth Kalar, offering to negotiate Lisa's case in an interspecies court. His response was broadcast across all council networks. The human pest Lisa Morgan died as all humans should die, as examples to others who would challenge council authority. In 72 hours, we will begin the reduction of human population to manageable levels. Resistance is futile. The message backfired spectacularly. Instead of frightening humans, it unified them even more completely. The last traces of individual doubt or hesitation disappeared. Every human in the galaxy now shared a single purpose: make the council pay for what they had done. Dr. Cross detected the moment it happened. Ma'am, we've achieved complete unity. 9 billion humans, one consciousness, one goal. The reality modification field now covers all of human space and extends into council territory. What does that mean? President Carter asked. It means we can now change anything we want to change. The laws of physics, the flow of time, the existence of matter itself. All of it becomes flexible when that many minds work together. Admiral Shaw received reports from across the galaxy. Human forces were ready. But more than ready, they were eager. Soldiers reported feeling like they were part of something infinitely larger than themselves. Ship crews described their vessels as extensions of their own bodies. Entire populations moved and thought as single organisms. The waiting was almost over. In 24 hours, the Council fleet would begin its attack. They expected to face scattered human defenses and confused resistance. Instead, they would face something that had never existed before in galactic history: an entire species acting as one entity, with the power to reshape reality itself. President Carter made the final announcement to all human forces. Tomorrow, we don't just defend our worlds. We defend the idea that innocence should be protected, that justice should exist, that bullies should face consequences for their actions. She paused, feeling the attention of 9 billion minds focused on her words. The Council thinks they killed a human girl. They don't understand that they awakened something far more powerful. Tomorrow we show them what humanity really is when we stop pretending to be separate individuals. Across human space, the response was immediate and unified. 9 billion voices speaking as one. For Lisa, the war would begin in 18 hours. 6 months after the war that most beings could no longer remember, the galaxy was a different place. Lisa Morgan stood on the observation deck of the memorial station that floated where Harmony 7 had once been. Through the transparent walls, she could see ships from dozens of species docking with the station. Today was the first meeting of the Galactic Cooperation Initiative. Representatives from 400 species had come to discuss trade, exploration, and mutual defense. It was exactly the kind of gathering the old council had prevented through fear and oppression. Nervous? Asked Captain Ryan Blake, who now served as Lisa's security chief. Lisa smiled. A little. It's strange being alive when I remember dying, but I think this is what was supposed to happen. Dr. Nathan Cross joined them at the observation window. In the months since the war, he had aged visibly. The responsibility of wielding reality-changing power had taken its toll on him. The technology is completely stable now, he reported. The changes we made are permanent. The galaxy will remember the lessons about protecting innocence, even if most beings can't recall exactly how they learned those lessons. Lisa nodded. She had spent weeks learning about the war that had been fought for her. 9 billion humans working as one mind, rewriting reality itself to bring her back to life and erase those who had threatened innocent people throughout the galaxy. Do you ever regret it? She asked. Changing so much history? Dr. Cross considered the question carefully. I regret that it was necessary, but I don't regret saving lives and stopping oppression. The species we erased from existence chose their fate when they decided to hurt innocent people. The meeting hall was filling with delegates from across known space. Lisa watched them through security monitors, seeing beings she had only read about in books. Some were tall and graceful, others small and quick. Some breathed different gases or lived in environmental suits, but all of them seemed peaceful and eager to cooperate. "It's remarkable," observed Admiral Kevin Shaw, who had arrived that morning from Earth. 6 months ago, most of these species were either oppressing others or being oppressed themselves. Now they're working together voluntarily. "Fear is a powerful motivator," Lisa said, "but so is hope. When you remove the bullies from the playground, everyone else gets along much better." President Helen Carter appeared on the communication screen from Earth. She looked tired, but satisfied. Leading humanity through its transformation into a galactic peacekeeping force had been the challenge of her lifetime. "Lisa, are you ready for your speech?" the president asked. "I think so." Dr. Cross helped me understand what to say without revealing too much about how we change things. The speech was important. Lisa would be introducing the new galactic order to beings who had forgotten the old one. She needed to explain principles of cooperation and mutual protection without mentioning the war that had established those principles. As Lisa walked toward the meeting hall, she passed through sections of the station that served as museums. Displays showed the history of galactic civilization, carefully edited to remove references to the Council. Instead, the exhibits focused on positive examples of species working together. One display showed the rescue of the Kepler people from a dying star system. Another featured the joint exploration missions that had discovered new worlds suitable for colonization. A third demonstrated the sharing of medical knowledge that had cured diseases across multiple species. All of these events had happened, but their context had been changed. Instead of being forced cooperation under Council rule, they were now examples of natural partnership between free species. Lisa entered the Great Hall where delegates were taking their seats. The room could hold 5,000 beings, and it was nearly full. She felt the weight of responsibility as hundreds of eyes turned toward her. "Distinguished delegates," she began, "we gather today not because we were forced to, but because we choose to. Each of our species has learned the value of cooperation, of protecting those who cannot protect themselves, of building rather than destroying." The audience listened intently. Many seemed to feel an instinctive trust in this young human who spoke with such wisdom. "The galaxy is vast enough for all of us to prosper," Lisa continued, "but it is also small enough that what affects one species affects us all. When children are threatened anywhere, we all become less safe. When knowledge is hoarded by a few, we all become poorer. When power is used to oppress rather than protect, we all suffer." She gestured to the mixed crowd of beings before her. "Look around this hall. 6 months ago, many of your species barely knew each other existed. Today you sit together as equals, sharing ideas and planning joint ventures. This is what cooperation can accomplish." An Andromedan delegate raised one of her long, blue-skinned arms. "Ambassador Morgan, what guarantees do we have that this cooperation will last? History shows that peaceful periods often end in conflict." Lisa smiled. The question gave her a chance to hint at humanity's role without revealing too much. "The guarantee comes from all of us working together to prevent conflicts before they start. Some species in our galaxy have developed the ability to stop threats to innocent beings, no matter where those threats come from. You might think of them as galactic peacekeepers." A crystalline being from Rigel Prime spoke in harmonious tones. "Are you referring to the humans? There are stories that your people possess unusual abilities." "Humans have some advanced technologies," Lisa admitted carefully, "but our greatest strength is our commitment to protecting innocence wherever it exists. We learned this lesson from a tragedy that taught us the price of allowing bullies to act without consequences." She didn't mention that the tragedy was her own death, or that the consequences involved erasing entire civilizations from existence. The meeting continued for 3 days. Delegates discussed trade agreements, exploration projects, and defense pacts. They established research-sharing protocols and cultural exchange programs. Most importantly, they created the Innocence Protection Accord, an agreement that any threat to children or defenseless beings would be met with immediate response from all member species. Lisa watched with satisfaction as beings who had been enemies or strangers began working together. The Vorthon species, now reduced to a few peaceful colonies, sent delegates who seemed confused about their own history, but eager to contribute to galactic harmony. On the final day, an elderly human approached Lisa in the corridor. She recognized him immediately, Dr. Robert Kane, her former teacher, who had been brought back to life along with her when reality was rewritten. "Lisa, I wanted to thank you," he said. "Thank me? For what?" "For giving humanity a purpose worth the price we paid for it. 9 billion people working together to save one girl and protect countless others. It changed us into something better than we were before." Lisa hugged her old teacher. "We all paid a price. But look what we built with it." Through the station windows they could see ships departing for hundreds of different worlds. Each carried representatives who would return, home with news of the new galactic order. They would establish local cooperation initiatives and protection protocols based on what they had learned. Dr. Cross found them there and handed Lisa a data pad with the final reports. "The reality modification field is now completely stable. The changes we made will last indefinitely. More importantly, the attitudes and instincts we've created in galactic civilization are self-reinforcing. Each generation will teach the next about the importance of protecting innocence." "What about the technology itself?" Lisa asked. "Sealed and secured. Only a few humans know it exists, and it can only be activated if our entire species agrees. It's necessary. The safeguards ensure it will never be used for conquest or oppression, only for protection." Lisa looked at the data pad. It showed peaceful trade flowing between species that had never interacted before. Scientific discoveries being shared freely across hundreds of worlds. Art, music, and literature crossing species barriers. And most importantly, statistics showing that violence against innocents had dropped to nearly zero throughout known space. "There's something else," Dr. Cross added quietly. "Long-range sensors are detecting signals from other galaxies. It appears there are other civilizations out there, some of which may pose threats we haven't imagined yet." Lisa wasn't worried. "Then we'll be ready. 9 billion humans learn to work as one mind when needed. If other galaxies threaten innocence, they'll discover what the Council discovered, that there are consequences for hurting children and defenseless beings." As the memorial station prepared to transform into a permanent diplomatic center, Lisa walked through its corridors one final time. She paused at a small plaque that had been installed near the exact spot where she had died and been reborn. The plaque read, "In memory of all innocents lost to those who abused power. May their sacrifice remind us that true strength comes from protecting others, not from conquering them." Below that, in smaller letters, "Someone should remember them." Lisa touched the plaque gently. The galaxy would remember, even if most beings couldn't recall exactly why these principles had become so important to them. The lesson was now part of galactic civilization itself: harm the innocent and face consequences beyond imagination. The war began at exactly 0800 hours, Galactic Standard Time. The Council fleet moved toward 12 human colonies in perfect formation. Admiral Zethkalar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical displays with satisfaction. 10,000 warships spread across space in an unstoppable wave of destruction. "Human defenses are minimal," reported his tactical officer. "A few hundred ships scattered throughout the target systems. Their positioning makes no strategic sense." Zethkalar smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "Humans never were intelligent enough for real warfare. Begin the attack. I want those colonies destroyed within 6 hours." But as the Council ships moved into attack position, something impossible happened. The human ships they were targeting simply weren't there anymore. Sensors showed empty space where moments before there had been enemy vessels. "Where did they go?" Zethkalar demanded. "Unknown, sir. They were there and then they weren't. No engine signatures, no jump traces. They just stopped existing." What the Council didn't know was that Captain Ryan Blake and his fleet had learned to exist in spaces between normal dimensions. They could see everything happening in regular space, but nothing in regular space could see them. From his position between realities, Captain Blake watched the Council fleet spread out for attack. He opened communications to all human forces across the galaxy. All units, this is Blake. Council forces are in position. Begin Phase 1. The response wasn't coordinated through normal communication channels. 9 billion human minds simply decided the same thing at the same moment. Across Council space, their military assets began to vanish. It started with the smaller vessels. Scout ships and support craft that were moving ahead of the main fleets simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, erased. The physical matter was gone, but more importantly, the idea that they had ever existed was removed from reality. Admiral Shaw watched from Earth as reports came in. Vorthon 3rd Fleet, 800 ships, gone. Centauri Battle Group 7, never existed. Andromedan Support Wing, removed from all records. Dr. Cross monitored the reality modification effects from his laboratory. The erasure is spreading, exponentially. Every ship we remove makes it easier to remove the next one. It's like reality is learning to reject Council military forces. Zethkalar realized something was wrong when he tried to contact his advanced scouts and discovered he couldn't remember sending any. His tactical officer looked confused when asked about the missing ships. "Sir, what advanced scouts? We launched the main attack without any forward elements." "We had scout ships an hour ago," Zethkalar roared. "No, sir, we've never used scout ships in this operation. The plan was always for a direct assault on human worlds throughout the galaxy." Children stopped playing to look up at the sky. They smiled and returned to their games, somehow knowing that the bad ships were disappearing and would never hurt anyone again. Phase 2 began immediately. Commander Lisa Grant led teams that had learned to move through dimensions like walking, through doors. They appeared on Council homeworlds not to attack civilians, but to remove the infrastructure of war itself. The Vorthon High Command building on SciFiPrime simply stopped existing. Military academies throughout Council space became empty lots where nothing had ever been built. The great weapons factories that had supplied Council armies for centuries were edited out of history. But the humans were careful. They left homes, schools, hospitals, and farms untouched. Only military targets and government buildings connected to the war effort vanished. Children went to different schools, families lived in the same houses, but the machinery of oppression was simply gone. Dr. Nathan Cross had developed the most devastating weapon in human history, the ability to edit causality itself. From his laboratory, he reached across space and began changing the past. Council battle plans became blank documents. Orders to attack human worlds were never written. Weapons designed specifically to kill humans were never invented. The very concept of project cleansing was removed from all minds except those needed to remember what they had tried to do. Zethkalar felt his memory changing in real time. He remembered being angry at humans but couldn't recall why. He remembered planning an attack, but the details kept slipping away like water through his claws. "Why are we here?" his tactical officer asked. "What were we supposed to be doing?" The question spread through the Council fleet like a virus. Ships that had been moving in attack formation slowed to a stop as their crews forgot their mission. Navigation officers stared at star charts, unable to remember their destinations. President Carter watched the reports with amazement. "How many Council ships have been eliminated?" "All of them," Admiral Shaw replied. "Every military vessel in their fleet has either been erased or forgotten. The crews remember being somewhere else entirely. But the most remarkable change was happening to Lisa Morgan herself. On Harmony 7, in the exact spot where she had been murdered, reality began to shift. The timeline in that small area started to rewrite itself. Dr. Robert Kane, who had been executed for trying to save Lisa, found himself alive again, standing in his laboratory. He remembered being killed, but the memory felt like a bad dream. Around him, other humans who had died in Council attacks were returning to life as history corrected itself. And in the main plaza of Harmony 7, a 16-year-old girl with brown hair and curious eyes materialized exactly where she had vanished days before. Lisa Morgan looked around in confusion, remembering death but finding herself alive. Captain Blake's ship materialized in normal space near the station. He led a team aboard to find Lisa sitting in the plaza, surrounded by people who were kneeling. "In reverence, are you okay?" Captain Blake asked gently. Lisa nodded, though she looked dazed. "I remember dying. But I'm here. How is that possible?" "Humanity refused to let you stay dead," Captain Blake explained. 9 billion people decided your death was unacceptable, so we changed reality to fix it. The news of Lisa's return spread through human space faster than light. It wasn't transmitted through communication networks. Every human simply knew at the same moment that the girl they had died to avenge was alive again. The psychological impact on the remaining Council forces was devastating. Species that had supported the attack on humans began surrendering in massive numbers. The Zephyrian Unity abandoned the Council entirely. The Crystalline Collective declared neutrality. Even the proud Centauri Republic opened secret negotiations with Earth. Only the Vorthons remained defiant, but they no longer had any military assets to fight with. Their fleets existed only in the confused memories of their crews, who were scattered across space in transport ships they couldn't remember boarding. Zeth Kalar found himself alone on a civilian transport, heading away from human space. He remembered being important, remembered being angry, but couldn't recall details. His fellow passengers looked at him with confusion when he tried to explain about being an ambassador. "Sir, you're listed as a passenger, not an ambassador," the ship's captain told him. "Are you feeling well?" The final phase of the human response was the most merciful and the most terrifying. Dr. Cross and his team began what they called the Great Editing, the systematic removal of the very concept of the Galactic Council from reality. It took 3 weeks. One by one, Council institutions simply stopped existing. The vast bureaucracy that had oppressed countless worlds for centuries faded like a half-remembered dream. The species that had comprised the Council remembered being part of something important, but the details grew hazier each day. History books changed. Treaties were rewritten. Trade agreements referenced organizations that no longer existed. Children grew up learning about cooperation between species, not domination by councils. Through it all, humans made sure that the lessons remained. The galaxy remembered that bullying innocence led to consequences. Species throughout known space developed strong traditions of protecting children and the defenseless, though they couldn't quite remember why these traditions started. Lisa Morgan became humanity's first ambassador to the new galactic order. She traveled from world to world, speaking about the importance of cooperation and mutual respect. Beings who met her felt an instinctive urge to protect innocence, though they didn't understand why. The war ended not with victory parades or peace treaties, but with quiet satisfaction. Humanity had faced an enemy that wanted to commit genocide, and had responded by removing that enemy from existence entirely. No one could oppress others if they had never existed to try. Dr. Cross sealed away the reality modification technology, leaving only enough active to maintain the changes they had made. "This power is too dangerous to use casually," he told President Carter. "But it will remain ready if anyone ever again tries to harm innocents." Admiral Shaw disbanded most of the military buildup, but kept human fleets positioned throughout the galaxy as peacekeepers. Their mission was no longer war but protection, ensuring that no species could develop the power to threaten others. The galaxy was peaceful now, watched over by a species that had learned the ultimate lesson about power and responsibility. Humanity spread to new worlds not as conquerors but as guardians, carrying the memory of a girl whose death had awakened something extraordinary in the human soul.